Hi, my name is Gab. Welcome to my daily podcast where I talk about travel and entrepreneurship. And today I want to talk to you about a question that I saw online. I was like, wow, that's an interesting question. I want to travel the world. Where do I start? And I can maybe share to you my experience and a few places that I discovered, a few places that I want to visit, how I choose a place, what did I like, what didn't I like, and where did I go. So let's do a little world tour. So it's an interesting question because I never even researched it before I started traveling. And if I did, I would have chosen my locations differently because I did end up in places where I was thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing there, here? But I'm guessing that's also part of the journey. Like you discovered the world, and I guess you discover yourself at the same time. And by the time that we talk, I have traveled to more than 50 countries, but I must say that I cheat a little on those countries. So let's start. Where did I go? So I listed Quebec, Canada. This is where I was born. It was just like, let's start at one. It's not really a place of like I traveled to, it's a place I've been. All right, and then United States. So I grew up like about 50 kilometer from the border, and back in the days when we would travel there, like in the 80s, you didn't even need a passport. You would just like drove through the border, and that's it. You're in the United States, and you come back. Hello, come back, whatever. It was very loose back then, up till 2001, and then it started to be a little less loose. And then my first real trip was the third country I've been was Japan. We were on our way to China actually, and to count the country, I established the rule that I have to sleep in there at least one night. And in Japan, we did sleep there. Like we exited the airport, went into Tokyo, slept there, visited a few places, and came back. It was very cool. The food was incredible. It was very like neat and clean and very futuristic. Like just the the bathroom at the airport were cleaner than in a house. Like it was insane, like with buttons and sliding doors and like water spraying. It was just, like it was really impressive. And then I remember also being in the metro, the trains, and nobody would even look at us. Like we were just invisible to other people. I was like, oh my God, okay. And everybody had the smartphone. Now this was 2005, so it was like it was fucked up to see like everyone with their phone, and we still had like old flip phone, or I didn't even. I'm not sure I had a phone back then. And then the next day we just flew to China, and then it was the real first trip because we spent 3 weeks there. That was again 2005, before the Olympics, and we nobody spoke English. Like there was just no one. So we get onto a taxi. He like we show him the address of the hotel written in our alphabet. So I'm like, where is the school? Like, is this good? And he's like, okay, yeah, yeah, come in, perfect. We start driving, then he's like shouting at us in China. We're all laughing with like the only Chinese I knew was Ting Budong. Like I hear, I don't understand. And then at some point we understand that he doesn't know where the hotel is. We're like, oh my God, like so we're all looking at each other while he drives into town, and then we're pointing at the phone number. He just exits, buys some credit for his phone, call the hotel. They're like, ah, it's there. He's like, ah. We're like, hey, we know where to go. And it was the beginning of the first travel lessons. So first of all, like we traveled like our itinerary was insane. Like it was something every 3 days. We had booked like we had not booked everything, but there was like flights and buses and places we needed to be. And so we did like already after 5 hours in Beijing, we're like, okay, like the itinerary is not realistic. We're too tired. I can't even move. Like it's just like we need a few days. And then a few days later, we started to hop from places to places and we would get more tired. Plus, it's expensive to hop. Like there's flights and trains and stuff, and we would get like to towns where it's like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, I'm not like a real like I like to chill. I like to be in the town and just experience the life. I don't care that much about like touristic stuff, to be honest. And that was the beginning of many, many, many travel lessons. Anyway, after that, I'm gonna go like fast because if I start to tell one story per country, we'll be there all night. But then Mexico, of course, being in Canada, it was right there. And I think that's the country I visited the most in my life, maybe like 10, more than 10 times by this point. Cuba, Dominican Republic. So this was my phase where I went into all-inclusive resorts. I was like, oh, it's cheap. I had a girlfriend back then. Like, oh yeah, let's go to an all-inclusive. And I think by this one, the Dominican Republic, we went there and after 3 days. I was like, hey, you know what? I hate this. Like, I don't like this at all. I feel like a bear in a cage, like they feed me and I lose the will to fight. Everybody loved Raymond, the joke. But still, I didn't like it. So I was like, no more for me. I'll just like, we'll book an Airbnb. I want to go to a restaurant or like, I want to live a normal life, not being fed at a buffet every day. That's, yeah, not for me. So that was the end of my all inclusive. Then Turks and Caicos worked for 6 weeks there, built some kind of condo that I think now are open 20 years later. And from what I saw on Facebook, they're doing great in South Caicos. What's the name? Don't remember the name. Anyway, that was a cool experience. We dove. I saw sharks. Almost got eaten in the leg by a shark. It was like that was an experience. Then France. So my first Euro trip. And then when I arrived in France, I spent like 2 weeks with my mom in France. That was pretty cool. Then my mom flew back to Canada and I was like, okay, bye. Bye, bye, bye. I'm going for a Euro trip. And then I was like, I'm in Europe. I don't know when I'll be back. So I just went crazy. I have to just like see everything. So after Paris, I took a train to Strasbourg, met Florent, and then I was like, all right, let's go see everything. So Switzerland, Germany, loved Berlin. Then Amsterdam, let's go to Amsterdam, like with the canals, it was great. Then went to the UK. It's missing. Hey, let's add it. So, no, it's there. Angleterre. Okay. So, yeah, after Amsterdam, went to the UK. That was cool and very expensive. I was very young, no money. I was like, it's too much. It was so expensive. I'm guessing it's better now but back then the pound Canadian dollar ratio was just killing me. And then flew to Hungary, discovered the cheap flight in Europe, couldn't believe it. It was just wow, this is so cool. And loved it in Budapest. Then took a bus to the Czech Republic in Prague. Oof, beautiful town. And I was a heavy beer drinker back then, and they had like these incredible 1 liter for €2. I would just drink and like watch soccer on TV with like those beer garden. It was pretty cool. Prague had a lot of fun. And then I had a 1 day left on a bus ticket that I bought. It was like unlimited buses on with that company, and I had 1 day left, and I had to go to Spain. So I was like, on a budget. Can't like just there's a bus that goes to Spain. So took a bus from Prague to Barcelona, basically, or Montpellier, actually, in south of France, and then finished by train. It was, I think, a 48-hour bus ride. It was just insane. Let's change bus, change bus. sleep, wake up. Oh my God, like my life is in a bus right now. And I gotta say that that bus ride killed me. And to this day, long bus ride, I'm like, can we pay and take a flight? I just remember the flashback. And then Spain for like 6 weeks with the boys, and then we were a bunch of boys that all got together and traveled Spain all around. That was pretty cool. Made it all the way to the south of Spain, Tarifa, small little town that's now a kite surf destination because the wind in Tarifa, it was like I couldn't believe it. The wind would pick up the sand and just like I'm 6 feet tall. Like this is just like there's so much wind. So I'm not surprised that it is a kite surf destination by now. And then we took the ferry to Morocco in Tanger, and that was basically like the where the party goes to die. Not fun for a group of 5 boys from Montreal to just like arrive in a place where no alcohol, no girls in the street, nothing. There's just like hot and like concrete building. Yeah, not for me. So then we took the ferry back to Spain, and in Tarifa, 2 days later, it was the final of the Euro Cup that year, and it was Germany against Spain. So that must have been 2000, what, 8? And Spain won. Oh my God, it was like Stanley Cup, incredible people in the streets celebrating in the small town. It was pretty cool. And so that was fun. And then we flew, like, we finished our tour of Spain, flew to Italy, and chilled there for a few weeks. Rome, then Venice, Florence, uh, Pise. I took the picture, like kind of with the tower, and then took a ferry to Corsica. And I listed Corsica, even though it's part of France, because as soon as you like, as soon as a country wants some independence, even though they didn't get it yet, I still name it there. So I cheat. So what? So Corsica, spent a few weeks there, loved it. Um, did my diving license, and then that was the end of that Euro trip. A few years later, same group of boys, Euro trip number two. So that one was Belgium, Scotland. Again, like if some of you want your independence, I list you in my thing. So Belgium, Scotland, Slovakia in English, I guess, Austria, then Greece. That was really cool. Like, it was just like an insane, like we take flights, we go everywhere. We arrived in Belgium. I had only shorts and gogun and the flip flops, and it was like very cold. Tried to buy jeans in the city, and then we take a flight to Greece. I just throw away the jeans. It was like the beginning of also me traveling in a small backpack. Then, few years later, Euro trip number three, same group of boys. So Denmark. Oh no, wait. Yes, Euro trip number three. So we did a few destinations that I didn't list there before because I went there before. So it was like I think Belgium, Amsterdam again, and then okay, Denmark, Finland, and then we took the ferry from Finland to Estonia in Tallinn. It's a little medieval town, and then Lettonie in French is Latvia. Latvia. And I always make the same joke. It's like, oh yeah, I spent a month, one night there. And oh my God, I will maybe share the story one day. And then we went to Lithuania, and then we were like, oh my God, dead. And we spent a few weeks there, like in Lithuania. I had a girlfriend that came and joined me, then she left, and my friend had his girlfriend, like because you always make girlfriends at those trips, and then she joined, and it was quite fun. And then all the other trips were like more or less individual trip, like Costa Rica, Iceland, yeah. Then the beginning of a world tour. So New Zealand, Australia, first time in Oceania. Oceania. Very cool, very expensive. Very expensive. Like now I could go back because I have more money than back then. Back then, it was like really kind of ruining the trip a little bit because it's like, it's like, so don't go there on a budget. And then we were like, okay, let's get out of here. It's too expensive. So we mainly spent time in New Zealand, Australia, just were in Sydney in transit to Southeast Asia. And then Malaysia. So now the price went down significantly. So Malaysia was pretty cool. Then Singapore. Actually, I had to fly back home for a month to do like the election. That was 2014, I remember. Then flew back there. So Singapore. And then Bali. Ooh, yeah, that I liked. It was pretty cool. Thailand. I'm still here, baby. I'm in Chiang Mai right now. I fell in love that trip with Thailand and I always came back. Myanmar, that was something else. That's like it's even hard to get a bottle of water. And now the country's kind of closed again. They have like this military guys always seizing power. Yes, yeah, you guys aren't nice. But the people in Myanmar were very nice. That was cool, and I will go back as soon as like they chill a little bit. And then Jamaica, Norway. Norway was really cool as well and expensive. Don't go there on a budget. Laos, Cambodia, Nepal. So that was a Thailand, and then visa around in Laos, spend a few days, come back. Like Laos, Cambodia, come back. Then Myanmar, come back. And then Nepal, come back. It was like, that was always like with Thailand in between all these countries. And then Colombia, now we're getting closer because that was last year. Colombia, really cool country. Like I liked Medellin. Didn't like fell in love. It's not incredible, but it's cool. I loved it. The mountains, like it really the city is like on the mountains. And so when you're inside the city and you look, you're surrounded by lights. It's just like a very incredible feeling. Um, then Portugal, didn't fall in love. Didn't hate it either. It was kind of cool. We need to go back because the surf and the coast there was really cool. And then we went to Brazil, spent actually 2 months and a half there. I have a dog there, Petruk, and who basically I found my entire philosophy around him. I was like, oh my God, like look at what he likes, look at what I like. We like the same things, like like food and sleep, then cuddle. Let's go on an adventure, then come back, sleep, cuddle, adventure. Oh my God! So that was fun. Learned to kite surf there, or learned to start to learn to kite surf, maybe. Then Panama. Oh my God! The old town in Panama is kind of cute. For the rest, eh, not a fan. Probably they're served like there's ways to find fun in Panama, but really, and then at the airport, it was not fun. That wasn't fun. Nicaragua, that was fun, although I liked the surf and the little surf town there. We went to San Juan del Sur, and that was a lot of fun because we were with Phil and the family, and that was fun. But the town San Juan del Sur, yeah. But I liked my little cafe in the morning. That was like La Tostaderia. That was cool. And then we did a road trip all over Europe. And now for me, it's hard to go to Europe and find a new country that I've never been, but Luxembourg. We drove to there, slept there one night. So it made the list, and now I'm at 50 country. And in 2, 3 days, we're going to the Philippines. So it's going to be number 51 on my list. And I gotta say that throughout most of this, it was quite a journey. And at some point, I mean, I was talking with my friend who like visited more than 60 countries. It's just like you have to go and then you discover what you like and what don't you like. And when we have discussion with travelers, it's always the same thing. And some people, they're like, just beach, beach all the time, beach, beach, beach. I'm like, yeah, beach are fun, but mountains are cool too, like, and then like about the size of the city too, like, and throughout all these travel, I grew older, so the size of the city that I like has been decreasing a little bit. Back in the days, I was in Bangkok. I was like, Bangkok, my God, like you walk and it's a human zoo. And I still feel like that. I'm like, Bangkok, it's a human zoo, but it's very big, eh? And it smells kind of like the air is not so good. So now there are new places that I want to visit. So weird places that I want to visit. So for example, uh, like Russia after the war, I'd be very curious. But you guys need to chill. You really need to chill. But then I will go and come to see your country because the country looks like really impressive. Some parts of it, like mountains, forests, they have like so big. And so I'd be curious to see a few places there. And the people there, especially the one that, like, just went out because of the war, they're really cool. I love Russian, and I learned a bit of your language, and I will gladly learn a bit more. I'd also be curious to see those like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. There's a whole part there that's kind of like unknown, and I like from the images that I see when there's a UFC fighters coming from there, they always fly the drone over there and see where they train, and I was like, that looks interesting. There's hikes, there's mountain, it looks cheap, it looks accessible. Like you're on the way from Europe to Thailand, a little stop there. I'd be curious to see it. Georgia too, I'm curious to see. Australia, that I want to go back to because I saw basically nothing of Australia. So I'd be curious to see like a bit of like Byron Bay and the chill, like hippie style, and then the diving on the north, Perth completely on the western side. Um, a few places in the United States that I want to go or go back. Utah, never been, but like I heard like from the parameter that I was giving that that was the place that I should go because like you like mountains, you like the hike and do stuff like that, you're gonna love Utah. So that looks cool. And yeah, definitely not going back to places that I don't like, Times Square, New York, or places like that where I'm like, so many people, it's just like overwhelming. There's lights everywhere. I don't understand the fun. But I still like Brooklyn and stuff like that. So, like, it can be a huge city, but I will choose the mid-sized city inside the big city. And those are the places that I visited and that I would like to visit. And I mean, if you can use it as um, inspiration, please do. If you have questions about any of them, I have anecdotes that I can now talk about. I will. And this is it. This is my experience of traveling so far in a nutshell. And if you guys have a question or something, just let me know.